Hey guys, this is AI Gaming 1776 doing a quick video with the 2GB GTX 960 for the Win Edition from EVGA. Again, it's the 2GB card. That's pretty important here. So I have the game paused for a reason. Look in the upper left-hand corner. You will see EVGA Precision X. This is not as good as MSI Afterburner, but I cannot get Afterburner to work. Furthermore, I don't have my fraps counter going, so you're stuck with a very tiny frame rate counter right there that says 60, 61 FPS at the bottom. VRAM usage is above that at 1.9 gigabytes, which guess what? That's almost the whole card. And then my memory clock speed and GPU clock and all that's up there. So anyway, that's going to be difficult to read. It's not in a good place. It's not a good font, and I apologize. This is the best I can do right now. Some people have been asking to see the MSI footage. I can't get that MSI Afterburner footage right now. It's not going to happen today. I've been trying to get Afterburner to work with this game. Has not been working. All right, so these are the best settings. All right, 1920 by 1080p full screen. Right here, these are the best settings with the 2GB card. And it's kind of depressing. Wait a minute. Do I have shadows on medium? Oh, shadows are low. All right, there we go. At least put the shadows on medium, right? All right. So as you can see, it's going to be difficult to read this, but this is the best I can do to keep the game at close to 60 frames per second, and it still goes into the 30s and 40s. I mean, the 2GB card just gets its butt hammered. So what we're going to do is, hopefully, this is going to be a good taking of a base. I'm doing live commentary. So I found a nice little base to go over here and try to take, and I don't know how successful we're going to be. I've never tried to take this base before, so it's my first time. Anyway, actually, there is no point in having this helicopter up go after that. This thing has no weaponry, so let's put it over here. And it might even be an escape vehicle if it needs to be. Probably not. Probably not. I should probably put it further away if I want it to be an escape vehicle, but I'll put it here. And the reason I say further away is it's probably going to get blown up. So those were the best settings. I'm going to start this little attack with these settings, and then I'll show you how with the lowest settings, we're still going to get almost 2 whole gigabytes of VRAM usage. Like, look, we're at 2 whole gigabytes right now. It'll be like 1.8, 1.9. Where's the thing I wanted? There was a crevice. Oh, there's the crevice. All right, so for starters, I don't like these things. These things right here, these things are the worst. Come on, buddy. I do not like these things. These blow your helicopters up. And if you guys know anything about me in this game, I like my helicopters. Awesome. Awesome. Helicopter right off the bat. And that's how they do me. Excuse me. Alright, well, I lived, but I'm probably going to die. Yeah, if you don't have a lot of stuff taken out in a base right away and you try to jump in the helicopter like I just did, that's usually what happens to you. But I'm pretty persistent. I just keep jumping in the helicopters over and over. Basically, they keep getting shot down, but new ones keep spawning in. It's kind of how I play the game. All right, it's not the smartest way to play the game, but it's how I play the game, and I enjoy it. All right, so the frame rate is kind of 60-ish right now. Let me jump. If I successfully get in one of these helicopters, I will then. Yeah, I don't know. They've gotten really smart. They've gotten really smart at trying to keep me from jacking them. When I first started doing this, I would very easily jack these helicopters. It was like nothing. It was like Grand Theft Auto taking a car from a paraplegic. But yeah. Sorry for any paraplegic people that offended. All right, so let me see what we can do. Anyway, let's put it on the max setting. Actually, let's do the minimum first, so we can see the VRAM usage. Yeah, I've been working on this video for a while. Every time I try to get into a bunch of action for one of these videos, this is what happens. Like I start failing pretty hard, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to use this footage. But you know what? I'm going to use this footage. Is what I've decided because I don't have all night. It is pretty late. I can't even see the time right now. All right, let me get to where I can show you the VRAM because Precision X is stupid. Hopefully, this helps you guys appreciate the afterburner and how I normally place it. Because I normally go out of my way to make sure you guys can read these numbers. And like this is illegible. I can't even read it. And I'm looking at the original footage. You know, I'm looking at the screen right now. See, this is some horse crap right here. I'm having to go this far away because what happens is you have, there you go. 1.952 gigabytes of VRAM. I literally had to go that far away. Oh, you know why? Because the dish is right there. Connection lost. Yeah, this game is so fun. All right, so let's see. It loses the connection. It crashes. There's been quite a few issues. It's still fun. It's still fun, but there have been some issues. All right, let's max it out now. We're going to go for broke. We're going to max this sucker out. And then we're going to go in here and we're going to try to take us some helicopters. And if we can't get helicopters, we're at least going to blow something up. All right? We're going to feel like we accomplished something. I hope. Now, if for some reason, leave a motion blur off. If for some reason I don't accomplish anything other than showing you the wretched frame rate, then I'll just have to live with that. In all my other videos, I usually get crap done. All right, look at that. 24 frames per second. 24 beautiful frames per second. Normally, VSync does try to lock it at 30. It tries. It does okay for the most part, but we are trying to go into a base right here. Oh, 28, and it's chugging. Remember, on the minimum settings, we are using all of the VRAM. All right, I need this helicopter to come over here. Sometimes you can shoot at it and draw it over to you, away from all that stuff over there. And then you at least have a fighting chance to get in it. Hey, come get me. Come get me. I'm an intruder. Don't want to waste a rocket, but maybe I'll have to. Now do you see me? I'm the guy blowing your stuff up with a frickin' RPG. Man, this thing takes a lot of frickin' RPGs. Okay, first of all, that dish takes more RPGs than I'm comfortable with spending. Second of all, the helicopter still didn't come yet. This is I don't want to go down in there because then I'm not going to be able to jack the helicopter. Although I'm about to have to do this. I'm about to have to just go in there. I might not get a helicopter. The thing is, if I get in the helicopter while it's over all of that stuff, it's going to go badly. Come on. No, why would you go away? All right, so surface-to-air missiles are probably about to start coming after me. All right, there we go. You guys have to understand, my helicopter addiction is real. It just is. All right. Oh, good. This has missiles and heavy missiles. So much better than an RPG. Okay, that's down. Now, the good thing about this helicopter, and I'm not going to lie, you can fire indiscriminately into an area with these double rockets here, the heavy missiles and the normal missiles. and you're probably going to hit something. Oh, snap. Dude's trying to mount me from the back. Not today. Alright, so 27 frames per second. Let me take VSync off so you can see that. Oh, my watch died. That's right. It's late enough that my watch actually died. I got one of those smart watches. They're not known to be fuel efficient. Okay, there we go. 49 frames per second during the spin out. Oh, snap. Oh, wait, that's just a Humvee. Thought it was a tank. Alright, so what else can we do in here? I'm trying to blow this thing up over here. Oh, hey, another helicopter. Probably going to die trying to get this helicopter, if we're honest. Yep, the white screen means death. Alright, so see all those things going up and down the screen vertically? All those little icons? As you blow everything up, those icons disappear. Now, the cool thing is when you die, your icons, the stuff you blew up is still blown up. So all the work I did was not in vain. Actually, let's just go in here. What I'm going to try to do is goad them. Into sending a helicopter after me. Now, not everything can be taken out with small arms fire, but these fuel tanks can. Now, technically, what you can do is you can just keep blowing one thing up at a time, dying and respawning. You can literally beat it that way. Now, I don't know how people feel about that. Like, I don't know if you guys think that's good or bad. I mean, I could see how that would not be fun in some ways, especially for people who care about challenge. Oh, frame rate's at 60 there. It feels like slow motion though. That's why I had all those extra chances to try to like grab onto this ledge. 53, 54. And full health back. Alright, if they're not going to send a helicopter, let's at least blow something up. Come on. Sometimes the accuracy of this is not the greatest. The C4 is not too shabby. I don't know what things require more than one C4. I usually put more than one C4 on to be safe, but I don't know what actually requires more than one C4. Oh, so what's funny is snipers do more damage to you than helicopters. Snipers will tear you up. I think snipers are like a 3-hit kill. Oh, frame rate went down to 28. Remember, we have VSync off. Now, I forget if I got on my little soapbox in this video or not, because like I said, I've tried to make this a few times. But when a graphics card is maxed out and it's at 30 frames per second, I don't really think it's loading all the assets like it's supposed to. That's just a hunch that I've got. Alright, so blow you up. Hey. Hey, I ain't got time for this. See, I was wondering if that every other one placement would work, and it does work. So you can have two C4s. By the way, frame rate just went down to 38. I can actually read the frame rate. It's not the easiest thing in the world to read, and again, I apologize that I'm using this, but if people wanted to see the VRAM and the frame rate and all that, this is what I was going to have to do. Now, technically, you can't really see the VRAM, but given the fact that when we're doing nothing on the lowest settings and we're using 1.9 gigabytes of VRAM, that kind of tells you that at all times we are using the full 2 gigs. So that's kind of a cheat, but that's where we're at. All right, so what else? I don't see anything offhandedly that I could blow up. You don't get anything for blowing up the surface-to-air missile. Although you do that, and then it's not there to shoot down your helicopter. Now these things, damn it. I've done this before. The same button that throws that grenade is the same button that plants the C4. And the C4 is like really particular about how you plant it too. Alright, you're gone. What else can we do? Oh, there's some radar. Oh, there's generator stuff over there. Alright. Come on, generator. Ooh, barbed wire. Man, Rico is a badass. I'm trying to think of like all the gaming badasses there are, and Rico's probably the most badass. I mean, Master Chief has like magic armor that's jacked into his muscles. Rico has like some clothes from the 90s. Oh shit, I did it. Shoot, I did it again. I mean, that worked, but... So the same button, you got to press down first if you want to use C4. You see that? Like 3 sniper bullets will take you out. Giant electrical explosions, not so much. Whatever, I mean, I'm not going to cry about it. It's not like I'm asking for more things to kill me. It doesn't break my immersion, trust me. Like, there's very few things a video game can do to break my immersion. Like, there's a lot of performance stuff that breaks my immersion, but, as far as, like, game mechanics, I don't really get too bent out of shape over all that. Alright, the load times on my computer are fairly decent. I have a 7200 RPM mechanical drive. I have a Core i7-4790. I have 16 gigabytes of VRAM. But IGN said the game loaded slowly on mechanical hard drives. So I kind of expected that to be an issue, but it hasn't been. Oh my god, is this a call box? Can I destroy it? No, but I can open that gate for my homies. Not sure when or if they're going to show up, but it's open now. Hey. You can have a grenade go off by you. I did it again. I did it again. And then look at that. That thing can actually withstand a freaking grenade hit. Alright. Let's see if this is enough to take it out. These things respawn, so it's actually pointless for me to bother blowing them up. Because if I die, it's just going to be there again. Alright, can one of these blow it up? Uno. Yes, yes. Okay, well, one can. Will it always? I don't know. That's pretty nice. Alright, what else can we do? I don't know why there's not a million dudes shooting at me right now. But I'm not complaining. You guys have been seeing me get shot up like Swiss cheese this whole time. And yet, right now, not so bad. Yeah, that was bad, 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 bad. Stupid. Alright, let's get up here. Too far away. Alright. Yeah, the C4 is like really tricky. Oh, you know whose review you need to watch for this game? Angry Centaur Gaming. Look up Angry Centaur Gaming, and he said some of the funniest stuff I've heard anyone say about this game. Like he had some really good jokes. Now the consensus from all the YouTubers so far has been that it's repetitive or whatever, and it's not as good as. Not that it's not as good as Just Cause 2, but it's not better than Just Cause 2. Some have said it's pretty much more Just Cause 2. Some have said Just Cause 2 is better. I think Angry Centaur Gaming says that. But like you need to watch his video. It's pretty hilarious, the things he says about the game. I'm looking for that damn surface-to-air missile I saw over here. And they're just going to respawn if I die. Okay, I just want to know what killed me. I just want to know specifically in that instance what killed me. That's all I want to know. Anyway, Angry Centaur Gaming guy said some really funny stuff. I want to get in the helicopter, but as soon as I do, those stupid ass surface to air missiles are going to get me. Sorry for all the swear words. Like I said, it's pretty late, pretty tired. My watch has even died, which it's actually never died on me before. But I've been kind of tied up between doing the real job and this. Alright. And then I did the grenade again because I'm stupid. You know what? Maybe I don't deserve to get the helicopter. Maybe I'm too stupid for a helicopter. And the universe is doing me a favor by keeping me from it. Alright. You know what? We're just going to take the helicopter. I mean, if we're just going to die anyway, let's just take the helicopter. Yeah, no, Angry Centaur Gaming, he had good analysis of it. He's not a big fan of the game, but his analysis is good. He said it's not a bad game. I'm not trying to spoil the review. I guess I am kind of doing that. It's not really the goal. You know what? I fought so hard to get this helicopter, and it doesn't even have weapons. All those times I was taking out surface-to-air missiles was so I could get this helicopter. And this helicopter doesn't even have weapons. I told you the universe was trying to do me a favor. Okay, so we could do the smart thing. There's like 4 or 5 more things to blow up. We could find those. That's the smart thing. Speaking of smart, if the bad guys were smart, they would shoot me. But they haven't. I'm trying to see. Oh, by the way, the frame rate says 52 frames per second, but here's the thing. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like it's in the 20s. Wow, I've had the C4 out this whole time. Hey. See what I mean? C4 is like really fiddly. Alright, what else we got to go? So yeah, I mean, this pretty much outperforms. The 2 gigabyte card does not run this as well as the 4 gigabyte card. So people often ask me if it's worth it to get the 4 gigabyte GTX 960. Here's the problem. I feel like the 960 should have only come in the 4 gigabyte. Because the 4 gigabyte can actually max this game and play it in the 40s with VSync on. And obviously it does better than that with VSync off. Here, let me get out of here. I'm pretty much done. I'm over this. I'm over it. So let's get out of here. Let's de-stress. Actually, where's a motorcycle at? Let's get a motorcycle. Like a cool guy. Maybe take the dune buggy instead because I just found that quicker. I found that more quickly. Because I should have used an adverb. Alright. Now, how do you get out of here? That's a good question. How do you get out of here? Like, oh, wait a minute. There's a gate. There is a gate. And then the question is, can I get through the gate? Y'all see that? Like monster trucking after me? Anyway, I feel like the GTX 960 should only come in the 4 GB variety. The fact that there's a 2 GB card sucks because the 2 GB card is going to tempt people to buy it with the price, and then there's going to be people telling them things like, "Oh well, you don't need the 4 GB card. Uh, it can't run games well enough to use the 4 GB." That's not true. It can. GTA 5 definitely, definitely does better with the 4 GB card. Um, Assassin's Creed Syndicate does better with the 4 GB card. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. Batman Arkham Knight does better with the 4 GB card. There's more. I'm pretty sure it's 2 in the morning. No, it's only one. I just had to look at my other computer. I record with the second computer. Anyway, if you're gonna get a 960, I'd say you're gonna want the 4 GB card because the 2 GB card runs this game like ass, where the 4 GB card runs it acceptably. Again, sorry for all the swear words. I normally don't put so many bad words in my videos. So anyway, the 2 GB card runs some games worse than the 4 gig card. Now there's some games that don't use a lot of VRAM. The Witcher 3 does not use a lot of VRAM. It doesn't even use the whole 2 gigs. I think even when it's maxed out, it doesn't use the whole 2 gig. The whole 2 gig. So you could use a 4 gig or a 6 gig card with the any card, whether it's a 970, 980, 980 Ti, whatever, with The Witcher 3 in 1080p, and I'm pretty sure it uses like 1.7 gigs. So arguably, the 2 GB card plays that game just fine. It plays Far Cry 3 relatively as well as the 4 gig does, because Far Cry 3, I don't think that uses more than 2 gigs of VRAM. And there's a ton of games historically that have not used more than 2 gigs of VRAM in 1080p. So there's a lot of games the 2 gig card can run well, but then this year there's been a lot of games that even in 1080p and even in the performance arena that the 960 can play in, those cards, those games still can use 3-4 gigs of VRAM, even more sometimes. What's happening over here? Anyway, but here's the problem with buying a 4 GB GTX 960. Due to the pricing structure, you've got the cheaper 2 GB 960, and then you have the more expensive 970. Now there's rumors there's going to be a 960 Ti. It gets to a point where, well, I need to get out of here. It gets to a point where Nvidia's created a crappy situation on pricing. Because if you can get a cheap 4 GB GTX 960, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. For example, back when the 960 was $200 for we went to 16 frames per second. We went 16 to 37 to 41. All right, so back when the GTX 960 2 GB was a $200 card, I got not this one, but I got a 4 GB model for $219. Now I still had to pay an extra $20 to get double the VRAM. However, 220 was still worth it compared to looking at a GTX 970, which was 340 at the time. All right, so 220 versus 340, it was still $120 cheaper than a 970 at the price I paid. Now the problem is, and this is a pretty big problem, this same card that I got for $219. What is shooting me? This same card that I got for $219 normally retails for $260. And I had a 4 GB for the Win card, because look, let me back up here. I have a cheaper 4 GB card, my 219 one. It's a super clock, which is cheaper in EVGA terms. But for the Win cards, those cost more than the super clock cards. The 4 GB for the Win card, I've seen it as high as $280. This is back and when the 2 GB GTX 960 was 200. Now the problem with that, and okay, let me say this: EVGA almost kind of had to do that because their 2 GB for the Win card, I think, was like 240. I think I paid 240 for this card that I'm using right now. Yeah, I paid full price. I didn't get it on sale or anything. This one right here. This, but it's a for the Win card. It's got a back plate too. I mean that kind of helps justify it. But then again, it's still a 960 with a back plate. So, you know, take it for what you will. Anyway, I say all of that to say, if you paid 280 for a 4 GB GTX 960, well, now you're only $60 away from buying a 970. You see what I mean? So it's a crappy situation. Now, Nvidia did just lower the prices for the holiday. I'm not sure what those prices are, but it's still the same general idea. If you don't get a 4 GB 960 for a good price, then it ends up being where like you could just go ahead and pay a little more. Sometimes the 4 GB 960 is like within $60 asking price of a 970. And a 970 is way better of a card than a 960. Way better of a card. It's not even close. All right. The 970 can play games in 1440p. The 960, okay, it can play some crappy games in 1440p, but the 970 can actually play triple. The 970 can play this in 1440p. All right, 970 is a good card. So, point being, it's not a good situation, and I feel bad for you. I really do, because if you're in a situation where you don't want to pay 970 money, and I don't blame you if you don't want to pay 970 money, you get put in this position where you can get a 2 GB 960 for cheap, but it's gonna screw you. Okay, it's gonna screw you in this game. Like you're probably, I know there's people looking at this frame rate, and they think this is fine. I know it. People say this in every video I ever post. When I use a weaker graphics card, people say in every video that I ever post, like, "Oh, well, I've seen you getting in the 50s and the 40s, and that's just fine." I gotta tell you, man, when you're in a situation where it's only an extra 20 or 40 bucks to double that VRAM, and that double VRAM literally lets you pick more options, lets you get a higher frame rate, lets you get more stuttering, lets you get less stuttering, it's almost a waste of money to buy the 2 GB card. By the time you've paid $200 for that 2 GB card, it becomes a genuine, like, huge waste of money to walk away with that card. You drop $200 on it, and it's still going to stutter. It's not going to pick all the settings. It's not going to get as high of a frame rate. But you pay an extra 20 or 40 bucks on top of your 200. It's smarter money to pay that extra 20 or 40 bucks. But then it goes back to the whole point where at that point you could almost get a 970. So it's like Nvidia is putting you in a crappy position. I'm going to be honest with you. I would get a 970. If I was only going to have one graphics card, I would save up an extra week or an extra month or an extra 2 months, and I'd pay that $100 difference or that $150 difference, and I would get a 970. Reason I'd get a 970 is we wouldn't even be having this discussion right now. The 970 can max the game out and play it at pretty close to 60 frames per second. It can play 60 frames per second, but then sometimes the frame rate does go down. But that's maxed out. 60 frames per second, VSync on. It goes up to like 80 frames per second with VSync off. We wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. And it can play the game at 1440. So, Nvidia has put you in a bad position to make you even have to think about the 2 GB 960 versus the 4 GB 960. And they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose, all right? You can't tell me when the 2 GB card dropped, they didn't know 4 GB cards would be coming. You can't tell me people didn't know that. I've started to figure out that that's what these GPU vendors do to you, okay? That's what they do. It's all thought out. Like, you're sitting there, and when the 2 gig card came out, it really seemed like there wouldn't be a 4 gig card at first. So somebody's sitting there and they're like, well, I got $200. Now back then the 970 at the very very beginning, because this card came out, the 960 came out in like February. The 970 was only like 3 or 4 months old back then. So at that point, the 970 was costing $370 in a lot of places. So a lot of people are sitting there like it's almost double the money at that point to get a 970. So they're like, fine, I'll get the 2 GB 960 back in February. Well, then the 4 GB card comes out, but then it's so much money in some cases that you may as well get the 9. You see what I'm saying? I'm repeating myself, but this is an important thing. Like, Nvidia made a, a dick move. They did. All right. Now, it doesn't affect me too much. I'm running a YouTube channel. I'm going to get all the graphics cards that I can just so I can make content. Not just so I can make content, but I want to know how these cards perform for myself. So I collect them. I make videos, whatever. But if I was going to buy one card, I would have bought the 970, and I did. The 970 was my first card. Because for the money, it can't be beat. You know, it was more than $100 to go from the 970 to the 980, but the 970, don't get me wrong, the 980 is better, but the 980 is like the middle child. Hear me out on this. The 980 is better than the 970, meaning a lot of games with the 970, I got to run MSAA times 2 if I want to keep 60 FPS. But with the 980, I could run MSAA times 4. Now here's the thing, all the other settings are the same. So with the 970, I'll have every single setting on Ultra, and I'm running MSAA times 2. The only thing the 980 was doing for me was letting me run one more rung of MSAA. That's all it was doing. So to me, that wasn't worth that extra hundred some odd dollars, the price cap that there was at the time. I think it was like $550 versus $370. So what is that, like that's $170 difference. It wasn't worth it. Maybe it was even $600 now that I think about it. 550, it was somewhere in there. It was a lot of money. So the 980 Ti, meanwhile, a now $630 card, but sometimes $650. $650 is the real retail price, but it's on sale right now for $630. The 980 Ti, that can play 1440p ultra preset, 60 frames per second to 100 frames per second in almost every game. There's some games where that's not true, where you got to turn a couple things down, but for the most part, you were playing in the very high to ultra range at 1440p with a single card. The 980 Ti is totally worth it. Now, here we are 38 minutes into the 2GB GTX 960 video, and I didn't make it short like I thought I would, but here's the deal. The 2GB GTX 960, the more I think about it, the more that card irks me. I find that to be an irksome graphics card. Because I don't want to say it's anti-consumer, but it kind of is. Because even on the sale price, they want to ask $170, $180 out of you for a 2GB card by the time you pay tax, if you have to pay shipping, whatever. But by the time you pay tax, a $200 card that's still going to stutter, that's still going to not load all the textures. And then they're like, oh, well, okay. Well, you can pay an extra 10 or 20 or 30% on top of the card for 4 more gigs of VRAM. Not 4 more, but 2 more gigs of VRAM. It just feels dirty. It feels like a dirty situation. So that's where I'm at. 960, 2GB card. I just don't like the situation. I would love it if I could tell people, yeah, man, get the 4GB 960. I can tell you that, but sometimes if you can get a 370 cheap enough, I say get the I said 370. I meant if you can get a 970 cheap enough, I say get the 970. But then the 970 is still what, like 280 now? Like $280, maybe $300. I don't even know what it's really retailing for because that price drop. That's still way over $200. You know, now it's like 33. It's a full third. It's a full third more because you got the 200. Actually, it's 50% more of 200 to go from 2 to 3. You get the idea. So that's where I'm at. I am very disappointed in the situation between the 2 GB 960, the 4 GB 960, and the 970. Uh, some people aren't going to see it the way I do. Some people are going to like say, "Hey, no, man, this is pro consumer because it's more choice." But I feel like it's insulting to have a $200 card that's still going to stutter, not going to load the textures, not going to keep the frame rate. It's insulting to be asked to pay that much money for a 2 GB card because we all have seen since fall of 2014 going into fall of 2015, we've seen a lot of the major releases are VRAM hungry. All right, Arkham Knight came out this year, VRAM hungry. GTA 5 came out this year, VRAM hungry. This game came out, VRAM hungry. Syndicate came out, VRAM hungry. All right, what do you think the future games are going to be like? You think they're not going to be VRAM hungry? They are. So it's like, hey, buddy, how about you pay me $200, but then you got to play AAA's on the low and medium settings? And that's insulting to me. That's how I feel about it. So there you go. That's my salty shade for the day. The 960. It's a good card. Don't get me wrong. When I paid 219 for the 4 GB card, I didn't feel like that was that bad because again at that time a 970 was 340. It was an extra $120 to go up to a 970. Yes, a 970 is more powerful. A 970 can more often use MSAA when a 960 cannot. A 970 can play 1440p when a 960 cannot. But the 960, for the humble kind of card that it's slotted to be, is pretty good performance at 200, 219 when you have 4 GB of VRAM. Or if you could rewind time to a year ago when not as many games needed more than 2 gigs of VRAM. See what I'm saying? It's actually an impressive card if you can get it at the right price. So, thanks for listening, guys. I did not mean to turn this into the anti-Nvidia show or the anti-Nvidia pricing strategy show. That was kind of accidental. I didn't mean to do that to you. But this is I think like my 30th video in the last week, and I've been trying to post the performance of all these games. And there's been a lot of launch nights. Battlefront, this, Syndicate, Fallout 4, and it's just snowballed. And I don't know what it is. I just started ranting on the 960 tonight. So sorry about that. Anyway, you guys have yourselves an excellent night. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this video has been informative for you, especially if you're somebody that's been sitting on the fence wondering what graphics card you should get. I like the 970. I like the 980 Ti. I like a 960 when it's reasonably priced. I don't like a 950 because it's even less powerful than this. All right, you know that should tell you something. I don't like a 950. The 980 is not a bad card, but the 980 is a middle child. You know, you can save some money with the 970 and get a lot of the performance. Not all of it. The 980, there will be times where the 980 is superior in some games and setting scenarios. No doubt. But the 970 is satisfactory more often than not, and it's less money. And again, the 980 Ti, I love the 980 Ti. It is a single GPU that can do 1440p. I don't even know what just happened. I literally do not know what just happened. It is a single, the 980 Ti is a single GPU that can do 1440p, pretty much the ultra setting most of the time, and if not that, then the very high setting, and get 60 frames per second to 100 frames per second. My GTX 980 Ti can max out Far Cry 3, which is still a somewhat demanding game, it can max it out in 1440p and play it between 60 and 100 frames per second. And it is a wonderful experience. It is such a good experience. And it's a single graphics card that can do that. You don't have to run SLI. You know what I mean? It's just like plug and play, good to go, good experience. And really, for me, like I know it's cheaper to get two 970s and run them in SLI and this, that, or the other, but I don't want to deal with micro stutter. There's a whole bunch of things to deal with. It's more wiring in your case. Then okay, if you run a single GPU, you can pretty much pick any GPU you want. If you run in SLI, you almost have to get reference cards. You don't have to, but it's a pretty good idea to get reference cards. It's just a can of worms, man. I love how a single 980 Ti. I am perfectly happy with that performance. Would I like the higher frame rate and all that? Yes. And have I told people on this channel in my videos before to go for the higher frame rate? Yeah, I've always said go for a higher frame rate. I always have. However, I'm checking out what's going on back here. This is pretty cool. However, the 980 Ti is pretty darn good performance. I have no idea. I have no idea what just happened there either. All right then. All right. The game, it must be retaliating for all this trash I'm talking. All right, thanks again for watching, guys. This has been the GTX 960 2GB card. I've shown you how it plays. Just Cause 3. And hopefully this video has been enjoyable for you guys. This has been AI Gaming 1776. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. I don't know. Maybe we'll all get together and have a slumber party or something. If this video gets 8,000 likes, we'll have a slumber party or a pajama jammy jam, or like we'll run a Blockbuster video or something to hang out. So thanks for watching, guys. Have yourselves a good night. Peace out.